Well, hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us. Welcome to Arizona State University's fourth annual Smart Region Summit. I'm Lev Gonek, ASU's Chief Information Officer, and I'm pleased to be able to welcome you all today. A special thank you to our sponsors who make this program possible in terms of their investments and partnerships with ASU, and we're going to be speaking a lot about that, in fact, in just a couple of moments. Just as people are coming into our virtual forum, I just want to do a little bit of a framing as we tee up our plenary and keynote this morning. You know, the internet is actually just about 50 years old, and in those 50 years, remarkably, we've connected over 50% of the planet in terms of humans connected to the internet, which is remarkable when you think about all the amazing transformation that has happened in those 50 years in terms of the potential of connecting humanity to this incredibly disruptive and generative technology, which is, as we used to say, changed everything. Actually, indeed, it has changed everything. And a part of the change and the scale that the internet has afforded us is it allows us to begin to think about things like a smart region and all of the possibilities of not only connecting people, but machines, and actually engaging in trying to identify how to connect technology to the policy goals and communities' priorities in a way that advances the whole. Well, if 50% of the globe is connected, you know, in reality, is 50% of the globe is yet to be connected. And if you just sort of think about the numbers, worldwide, we have about 3.9 billion people yet to get connected to the internet, which is remarkable challenge for all of us going forward. In this country, we have just about 27.6 million households that have yet to actually be connected to the internet and to join us in this revolutionary trajectory and arc of activities that it has afforded us. 27.6 million households really is, it add up all of the households in Alaska and Arizona and California and Colorado and Hawaii and Idaho and Kansas, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, Washington, add them all up together. And that's less than the 27.6 million households in this country that still have yet to be connected. Here in Arizona, there is just under 800,000 households, 796,000 households that have yet to be connected to the internet to be able to participate in this incredibly generative environment, which we've seen certainly during the COVID period as hugely important as a foundational opportunity to participate in learning, healthcare, and many, many other activities. Actually, in Arizona, one last data point, in addition to the 796,000 folks who are not yet connected, another 860,000 households actually only have one provider available to them at all. This is part of the dynamic of the challenge of moving forward and supporting the development of a smart region that is also connected to the priorities of all of its community. And to start us off in understanding the art of the possible and the vision of what is possible, and to put it into historical context, I'm very pleased to introduce to all of you the president of Arizona State University, Michael Crow.
Well, thank you, Lev. It's great to be here with you. And let me just start off for the whole group listening today, just to say thank you to you and your group. I mean, in a sense, if you think about the ultimate development of a smart region, a place where a smart region begins to take shape and take form and become experimentally validated is at a university like ASU to begin with. And so we, with your team, with the companies like those that are listed here that are our partners, have already built a smart mini region called ASU. And what I can tell you is that everything I'm about to say is reflective of what we've learned. We've changed everything, being able to embrace the technology that high-speed digital communications permits. We've changed learning outcomes. We've changed access to the institution. We've changed productivity. We've changed our finances. We've changed our budget model. We've changed our margins. We've been able to advance the university into a powerful new way of projecting itself. When I took office here, we had 40,000 degree-seeking students. Right now, we have 160,000 degree-seeking students, all driven by this unbelievable technological capability that has evolved. We've changed graduation rates. We've changed access to every family, regardless of income. And because we've been able, using technology to change our finances, we've been able to find ways to break down the barriers of access to the university. So just when I talk about smart regions, I'm not talking about some theoretical thing that we have no experience with. We've built a mini smart region right now. And Tammy Irwin, who I'm going to introduce here in just a little bit, one of the senior big bosses over at Verizon, her company and the other companies listed here, AWS and Cox and so forth, have been very, very powerful allies of ours in making these things happen. So let's put this Smart Region Summit into perspective. And I say this being an old professor of scientific and technological change. I was a professor at Columbia University for many years. I taught nation building. I taught how you build knowledge enterprises, design knowledge enterprises, how you make things happen. I've been all around the world, to more than 50 countries looking at transformations, social transformations, and technological transformations. And I kid you not when I say the following, that we are at the beginning moment with the evolution of ultra high speed networking and the ability to connect everyone, truly connect everyone with leaving no one behind, where I think it's the most transformative technological moment since the very early stages of the Industrial Revolution. And I say that because the way that the technology is rolling out, even with all of its complexities, certain aspects of social media that have upsides and downsides, certain social impacts that we really don't fully understand, certain political impacts that we don't really fully understand yet. Given all of that, and even with all of that, we are going to find a way for the first time in the history of our species where smart regions are going to develop, where you have ubiquitous connectivity. And through ubiquitous connectivity, you're going to be able to drive a new economy where even the nature of work, the nature of where you work, how you work, when you work, how you create, who gets to work, who gets educated, who doesn't get educated, is no longer socially stratified. And so the huge opportunity here in the development of these new smart regions is to break down centralization. This will sound a little bit funny, but it used to be that all technology required you to go somewhere to use the technology. So you went to the factory to use the advanced technology. You went to the power plant to work. You go to the office to work because technology could be concentrated. All those things will still exist going forward, but they'll all be completely different. And so this most transformative moment means, from my perspective, that you're going to be able to build a new ubiquitous economy, a new level of unbelievably unthwarted creativity. And from that, these technologies are going to empower higher levels of democratic outcomes, higher levels of societal progress. And so it's both new economy and new society. And I'm not some Pollyannish professor that's dreaming about some utopian state. I'm a realist about the way things used to be. It used to be that technology would concentrate in a certain place. The people that own the capital to buy the technology, to build the thing, would then hire people at the lowest wages possible, bring those people to that concentrated format of technology. All that's gone. We're going to be able to connect everyone everywhere all the time. And so broadband at the speeds that are being talked about, at the basically human thinking speeds, that's what we're approaching. Human visualization speeds, that's what we're approaching. It's an empowerer of economic progress. It's an empowerer of economic democracy. It's an empowerer of scale. And so no longer does distance mean anything. No longer does access to such things mean something, because this will be ubiquitous. It certainly will be ubiquitous. And so we're going to see manufacturing advanced and distributed. People are going to be printing biomolecular components for advanced manufacturing systems in their garages while they're taking care of their kids and making a lot of money. And I kid you not when I tell you these things. I mean, this is the way that it's going to be. medicine is going to be altered as we take these simple little crude devices like this one that I'm wearing here, and we take this and I report to my doctor now with my stuff, but imagine it's reporting in and all these things are going on, and all the things that are crapping out on my old body here can be just enhanced and tweaked a little bit along the way. I mean, I think we're going to find a way to break down particularly how it is that people don't have access to high level medical care because it costs so much, or they can't get to it, or they don't have access to it. I think an area that's really grossly under thought through is this unleashing of human creativity. People love to be creative, and other people love to buy the creativity of other people, but the markets are too small. The empowerment is too small. We don't have ubiquitous high-speed connectivity everywhere. So I think the creative economies are really going to take off immensely. Within the space that we're deeply embedded in, which is research, discovery, and learning, we're already seeing things that we never could have imagined possible in the research space, and the expansion of researchers working together, and tools and devices and systems, and ubiquitous high-speed computing allows us to do things that we never could have imagined. And then in the heart of our enterprise, in teaching and learning, and we teach and create learning environments for K through 50, meaning we're all the way from young children to adults on their 15th job in their third career. In all of that, we now have come to a realization that much of the educational enterprise and much of the learning enterprise across the world and across the country have been technological, they've been technophiles, technophobes. That is, they haven't wanted the technology. We're a technophilic institution. And what we realize with the technologies that we brought in, with the broadband that we brought in, we're now able to say definitively, we can defeat the STEM gap. We can help people to learn science in ways that we've never been able to teach it before. To do that, we need ubiquitous high-speed internet to the person's body so that we can take very complicated scientific and mathematical things, very complicated subjects like global climate change. We have a partner in Los Angeles called Dreamscape Immersive, which is a bunch of technological geniuses built around a bunch of Hollywood geniuses led by a guy named Walter Parks. We've built a joint initiative with them called Dreamscape Learn, and we've just launched with help from Verizon and other folks along the way. We've just built a huge new tool that will alter the way that science is taught. We have a new thing. You can take a look at it. We can bring you up to speed, but we've just found whole new ways to teach science. And here's what we know from the early gatherings of this. And we don't have enough time today to talk about all of this, but maybe Tammy and I can talk a little bit about it in a second. No one fails. Everyone gets an understanding of how science works. Everyone gets an understanding of how math works. The second we're able to do that, all things change. It's not about producing only scientists and engineers, but it's about producing scientifically and technologically literate people for the new economy, which requires literacy beyond cultural literacy and beyond language literacy. It requires scientific and technological literacy. And what we know with 5G speeds, with ubiquitous access to high-speed connectivity, we can take on all of these problems and these challenges, and there's no other way to do this. And so we're very, very excited to host this Smart Region Summit. We think that regions can now plan for anything, plan for distributed manufacturing, plan for distributed medical care, plan to help no schools to fail. All of those things are possible. And for people that don't believe it, you ought to retire and just let in some other people that realize that these new technologies, they change everything. They change the home, the student, the learner, the worker opportunity. And so we're already an example of a mini smart region. We're very excited to be a part of driving smart regions forward. And to sort of move on the conversation here, I'd like to introduce Tammy Irwin, who I see on my screen. She's the EVP and Group CEO of Verizon Business, which means she's one of the big shots in Verizon. But more than that, she really represents in all of my interactions with her what you want corporate executives, people who have been given much responsibility, high salaries, all these things. Well, what do you want these people to do? And so you want them to do something other than just make money. You want them to figure out how they're going to facilitate the use of technologies to bring about social transformation. And Tammy and I have talked several times about, she's really a thought leader in this, deeply committed to social equity, deeply committed to social transformation. How does she move this communications technology, this connectivity technology, this new way of thinking and learning enablement technology? How does she move it forward? So Tammy, welcome. And I think you and I are going to talk for a while. So, what's Verizon, what's Verizon up to? Like, why are you getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and moving around the country and moving around the world to make stuff happen? What are you doing? Like, what are you up to?
Well, we've got a lot going on, but thank you, Dr. Crow and Love, for the opportunity to be part of this discussion today. We are really excited about the way technology is changing how we all live, work, and play. The reality is, I grew up in a home where my grandmother was an educator, my father was a physician. I think about my daughter as an educator today, and I think about how radically the world is changing around us. And if you can't be excited after listening to you speak the last 10 minutes about how everything will change, then it is time to retire for people. I love that challenge for all of us. But I think about what we're doing at Verizon. Our purpose is clearly defined. We create the networks that move the world forward. And we are very aligned to having 4 key stakeholders that we serve: our customers, our employees, our shareholders, but more broadly, society at large. And so when you talk about the work you're doing here at ASU, when you talk about the ability to really use technology to transform education, healthcare, smart cities, smart communities, we think we sit at the center of building what we refer to as the 21st century infrastructure. It is about mobility, it is about broadband, it is about cloud, and it's about access for all. It's about connecting not just people, but devices and connecting things to things, and the accumulation of big data and the ability to use that data. And maybe I just take one quick minute and talk about 5G, because there's so much conversation about it right now.
And there's a lot of confusion. So if you can help us understand what it is, what it isn't, where it's going, all of that, that would be really great.
Yeah.
And then what could a region think about in terms of what, where are we in terms of capacity, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we're sitting right at the cusp of some incredibly exciting elements around 5G. We announced last week that our network is available, our 5G ultra wideband network, which is what I simply say is real 5G. It's 5G that is built on spectrum that is designed for the 5th generation technology. Just about a year ago, we acquired a nationwide swath of C-band, mid-band spectrum from the government to be able to build 5G, a 5G network with a 5G core that allows customers to have access to networks that are more than just fast. They have currencies and capabilities that allow for low latency sub 10 milliseconds over time as we evolve that network, the ability to have sensor densification of 100,000 sensors in a kilometer to 1 million sensors in a square kilometer. So just an incredible currency and capability of what 5G enables. And for us, we believe being the first in the world to launch 5G, not only mobility, but 5G broadband. You talked about people not having a choice for high-speed broadband. We are delivering 5G broadband capability to 100 million Americans in the US today with the launch of 5G. And then you begin to move into places that become very exciting around private networks. So you think about here at ASU, we've built a private 5G network on our 5G spectrum to be able to enable private networks, and then edge compute capability with partners like AWS. We were first in the world to launch a partnership with AWS, the ability to then have edge compute and then build the applications and solutions like you're doing today with Dreamscape. Really excited about the work that you're doing with Dreamscape Learn and the ability to take those networks, take those applications and edge compute capability and really transform it into solutions that become real and meaningful for things like healthcare, things like education, things like, driverless cars, et cetera, and really change the dynamic. And so we think that the 5G ecosystem is rapidly evolving. The penetration of devices that operate on that network, so that you have, whether they're Google Glasses, we just announced last week launch with Google Glasses, and the ability to have AR, VR capability through those glasses changes the way people work as they think about dispatch of labor. So many things that are changing, and the ecosystem is maturing at a rate that I think we can't really even imagine how rapidly it's maturing. We have today 25% of our customers using 5G devices. When that network turns on before the end of the month, it will be available to 100 million people, of which many already have devices. So
the hard thing in all of this, Tammy, for the average listener, certainly not the leaders that are on this call, on this Zoom call, but this whole notion of, a million sensors and this unbelievable connectivity and down to fractions of millisecond interactions and so forth. So people need to understand that what we're basically talking about is that these kinds of networks, these kinds of smart regions, when so empowered from an infrastructure perspective, it would literally mean you could do anything anywhere. So a nurse at a home could be assisted in real time through a visual tool to deliver what you need to your homebound patient, rather than taking someone to the often more complicated hospital setting. The teacher in a classroom or the mom teaching at home would have access to visual and other types of network connectivity, things that just aren't possible now. And then people don't realize this notion of being able to manufacture anything, anywhere, at any scale, in real time, with the devices connected in a way where the device here and the device up the road here in the mountains in Flagstaff are, you're working side by side together. And you use the word latency. And so you're reducing this problem of the time gap by people being able to work together, which means that people can work together in remote locations simultaneously on the same problem, and they can go to places. So one of the things we're planning in Dreamscape Learn is that we're going to take with these high-speed connectivities and connections, we're going to take the young 8th grade scientists to Mars for the Mars sample return mission, where they're the scientists on the surface of Mars with us. I mean, they're literally on the surface of Mars with us, because that's how the science will actually be carried out. And then we can connect everybody to that. And we guarantee you that then the kid will learn science in a different way. I mean, they will become science literate as a function of that. So these are the kinds of things that are possible. So what are you guys running into? What's the complexity of getting a smart region set up? Like what needs to happen?
Yeah, so maybe I just double click on a couple of those examples because they're really powerful. And I'm going to use healthcare in particular because I think about what we've all been through with COVID the last 2 years and the permission it has given us to accelerate innovation against all of those verticals that you just talked about. But healthcare in particular, where you think about a small community like Flagstaff might have access to a family practice physician, but not all of the specialists that they might need to deal with a specialized problem, or the experts in the world, or the ability to have real-time diagnostics or diagnostics that are based on your genome mapping. All of a sudden that technology becomes available anytime, anywhere. So a physician in Flagstaff can feel as empowered to serve their patient, and that patient can be served from home because they have broadband at home. So that ecosystem and maturation of it, I think, is accelerating because of COVID. So what do we have to do to create smart communities? We believe that the importance of private-public partnerships is so important as we think about how do we work in our public sector with cities as they're building out planning capability. How do we make sure that as we're building out the network coverage and capability, that it becomes ubiquitously available? We have a very big commitment to closing the digital divide. And it's one of the things that we are doing with cities as we're planning across the US, is that our spectrum and the densification of spectrum that we acquired from a C-band standpoint gives us extra capacity in rural communities that today are underserved from a broadband standpoint. So we are working as we build out our deployment to make sure that broadband can become available at an affordable fashion to people across America. And then it's not just affordable, but it's accessible. So as you have access, it's affordable. And then you really have programs that you build on top of it. Let me talk about one around education, the Verizon Innovative Learning Program. And this is one, Michael, we partnered with your team for years on, which is, we have nearly 200 schools that are equipped today with 5G capability in environments where it's low economics, low access to education. And these kids now have access to 5G in their school, 5G at home. The teachers have devices and curriculum that is customized and catered to really learning differently, that immersive experience that you talked about. It's part of what makes me excited about the work you're doing with Dreamscape, because if you look at the last 2 years, we've provided connectivity for students to be able to watch the teacher in front of a video screen. That's not very exciting when they're still using a textbook that's from 25 years ago. But if you put on goggles and you're immersed in the experience and you're part of that learning experience, it changes the way we will all learn some of these more complex topics like the science and technology that's been more difficult. And we have to create that currency. So we are working to provide coverage and capability, so access, and then making sure that we're working back from affordability standpoint, and then programs that ride on top of that, that enable people to take the power of the network and create solutions that are seamless for how we live, work, and play.
Well, to that point, Tammy, on the education side, I mean, this is hard to get people to understand, so 25% of kids don't finish high school, give or take. Of those kids that do finish, another 25% of them are not really prepared for the modern workforce. The rest that do graduate, the super geeky geniuses, they all do fine. But the rest of us, we have to find ways to continue learning and advancing. And then when you get to college, most kids that go to college don't finish. And one of the reasons they don't finish is that we haven't figured out how to teach certain kinds of really important things in ways that emotionally connect to the learner. So the using a simple story here, there are a small percentage of people that can listen to a chemistry professor or a biology professor and just get it. A small percentage. The rest of us need to find a way to know what it means. And so what these technologies, these advanced innovative education technologies empowered by broadband at the highest possible, fastest possible, most technologically advanced level imaginable, allows us to create an environment in which the person, the learner, becomes emotionally connected in the story or a story around the learning process itself. And I can tell you here at ASU, where we're considered to be the most innovative university in the country on a lot of dimensions. And one of the dimensions is this: what we found is a complete transformation of learning outcomes. If we had ubiquitous 5G technologies into every home and every school with the learning tools that we're building, we would dramatically alter across our society high school graduation rates, science literacy rates, advanced technology awareness rates, ability to move into new professions. I'll give you an example. So we've used these technologies to change engineering at ASU. So just 10 years ago, we had 6,000 students in engineering, and this semester we have 27,000 students in engineering, 18,000 on campus using advanced learning tools. Lots and lots of kids want to be engineers. We have another 8,000 students online in engineering, 9,000. And so a lot of kids want to be engineering. In fact, 3 times as many people want to study technology as a part of what they're doing than are able to. These technologies allow us to overcome how to teach someone who's not a natural born calculus genius, how to make them calculus ready. Right. For those of you that are listening, we now know how to do that. We have figured out how to do that. This is the first time I can ever say that. And we're using these kinds of technologies as ways to be able to enhance that. And so what are you finding, Tammy, when you're going around the country, what regions are thinking about this, and what are the maybe a better way, what are the characteristics of the regions that are modernizing at the fastest rate? What do you see about those regions?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. First of all, congratulations on the outstanding progress you've made around your engineering and the number of people that are coming through the program and graduating from the program. And I think about early childhood education and being able to get education available to all so that you really can curate and move students through that process and move from rote memorization of facts into really understanding science and biology and technology to then innovate on top of it. What we're finding in regions, and we're seeing really incredible progress across the country and quite frankly around the globe. We serve customers in 150 countries around the globe, have employees in 60 countries. So we're really learning from some of the around the globe as technology is evolving. But it's this demand to say, as we think about how we create work as not something somewhere you go, but what you do, how do you create an environment where work can be done anywhere, anytime, that you can take the labor shortage that people are experiencing experiencing right now and really scale and upscale technology. We have a commitment to help upscale a million people across the nation here over the next 5-year period of time to really make sure that you take people and change their ability to have a different kind of economic participation in the 5G economy. So we're seeing places where, and I think the other driving factor we're seeing is the environment. We're all acutely aware of what we've seen happen in the environment. And how do we really have zero emissions? How do we begin to change the outcome of environments? Because
and what you were talking about before, the notion of 1 million sensors per, meter or whatever. I mean, all of that's going to be necessary to manage our relationship.
Information talking to information. And we see it right here in Arizona, how the power companies are really using, IoT, so connectivity of devices talking to devices to be able to control how much air conditioning are you using or not using? When do you turn it off? When do you turn it up? How do you make sure that you balance out your power grid so that you have capacity of power to be able to enable the increased population in some of these denser locations? You look at the inflow of people into Arizona in order to be able to create an infrastructure for education, for power consumption, for streets and how hospitals, how do you use technology to really be able to distribute that out to locations?
Well, and related to that, I appreciate you bringing that up, because the collapse of the grid in Texas a couple of years ago in the winter, that was all a function of the fact that we have insufficient complexity management capability and information gathering capability. There were lots of factors related to that, but management of all things going forward in the success of a region environmentally are going to be unbelievably data rich and sensor rich. And there's no way to do this other than with these ubiquitous high-speed systems.
And that's exactly what we're seeing in sensors that have the ability to really understand the broader ecosystem around, so that you have the ability to control where you have power demands, where you have power surges, where you can turn power down, where you can really reserve, where you think about traffic flow. So, you think about upcoming here at the NFL Super Bowl that's upcoming here at SoFi Stadium, the technology that has been poured into
where the Arizona Cardinals will be playing.
Where the Arizona Cardinals will be playing. Next year, it will be here in Arizona. So it's pretty exciting to imagine. But you begin to think about how you use technology to, how do you have people access the stadium so you know safely that they don't have a temperature? How do you make sure you know where you have security risks? How do you have touchless retail? How do you have, a self-provisioned, customized view of the game because you have technology in your phone that enables a different kind of viewing experience? How do you guide people from a traffic flow standpoint because you know where the traffic congestion is or where it isn't? How do you guide law enforcement and public, first responders to where crises might be? The power of a regional location like that, and SoFi is a perfect example because of the technology that's been poured in there. It is amazing when you think about the infrastructure and the core connectivity of how that all fits together, all in the palm of your hand, because you have network access, either mobility or in a broadband capability. And then you use the power of edge compute and cloud, and you really do have that full infrastructure of mobility, broadband, and cloud capability that enables edge compute.
Hey, Michael and Tammy, it's Lev here, and I want to just share with you as we sort of get close to the end of our time with you. First, a thank you, but we're not done yet. There's at least one more thing we want to be sharing with everybody. Each year at this annual Smart Region Summit, we try to organize and make a noteworthy announcement of partnerships. Partnerships are hugely important to ASU, and I very much want to afford you a couple of moments here to really share with our audience here the partnership between Verizon and ASU in the development of the Verizon Innovation Hub here at ASU, and at least allow us to hit a couple of key points about our engagement with our students, which is obviously the commitment that we have here at ASU, and also in our collaborative efforts to extend research. Maybe, Tammy, I could ask you just to kind of highlight some of the work that we're doing at the Innovation Hub that you and your team are working on with us here at ASU.
Yeah, Lev, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We were having such a great conversation. We almost forgot to say, what are we doing here on campus? I can tell you that we were first in the world at Verizon, first in the world to launch 5G mobility, broadband, and mobile edge compute. And we have 5 labs across the country where we really specialize in focused innovation and learning. And we are excited to have a 5G hub here on campus that allows the innovation that ASU is famous for to happen in partnership with our network, the edge compute capability we're deploying, and the incredible creativity and innovation that Dr. Crow and the team at ASU are doing. And so the ability to be on your campus to participate in that innovation, whether it's what you're doing around healthcare, whether it's what you're doing around space and exploration, or what you're doing around education, we are so excited to partner with you and to be part of that, because we believe bringing the power of our network, bringing the power of edge compute, and intersecting with outstanding talent, and really the expectations you have, Dr. Crow, of how to use technology to be the great equalizer. The description you had this morning on how technology will change the world is something Verizon is excited to partner with ASU on. And so as we're building out this lab, it gives us the ability to do things like digital equity jam, where we can do some jam activities together, where we can use the power of the Verizon Innovative Learning Program in partnership with what Dr. Crow is doing with Dreamscape and Dreamscape Learn to really imagine and move from technical proof of concept to commercial scalability, things like private networks and how we think about applications and solutions that are built on top of that, how you bring the ecosystem from being a network to now having hardware like glasses that are easy to use and make all of these solutions accessible, not just here on campus, but the distribution of those applications and solutions out across the US and ultimately across the globe. So we are super excited. We're proud partners of the work that is being done here at ASU and look forward to really scaling that. And I think, Dr. Crow started with how rapidly change is happening. We are living through the fourth industrial revolution, and we are just getting started. And to be at the epicenter of that, from deploying technology to be able to partner with an organization like ASU, an institution that is driving transformative change on behalf of making the world a better place, is a very exciting place for us to be.
I'll just add, Lev, that from ASU's perspective, I mean, we're just excited to now be able, with Verizon's help, to become the furthest along at the tip of the spear, the bow wave, whatever you want to call it, so we're one of the dolphins out in the front of the boat, riding the bow energy of the big ship behind us. And so we're so excited to be empowered by this technological capability and this partnership, because it is this, as Tammy said, it's this speed of change here that's going on. We're doing things now that we weren't doing when the pandemic started. We've got instructional assets and learning assets and creativity assets and students involved in all things. And this laboratory and this capability helps us to be able to do these things. So thank you to Verizon, and we're off and running, and Tammy and I are going to run over and immerse ourselves in some of this right now. So we're very excited to have been able to join for a little bit here today, Lev.
We're going to be students for a little bit and be immersed in learning today, which is a pretty exciting place to be.
Right.
That's terrific. And again, I want to definitely take a moment to thank, obviously, President Crow for taking time out of a day that I know starts at dark 30 every day. Tammy, thanks for coming to Phoenix and to Arizona today to not only participate in our Smart Region Summit, but also to immerse yourself in some of the amazing student-centered experiences that I think significantly differentiate ASU and our commitment to actually speed up. A clock speed of an enterprise like ASU is only possible to speed it up through the creative use of technology that supports scale, but at the same time personalized learning opportunities, which is certainly the commitment that we're after here. And again, just to underscore, and Michael, maybe even give you an extra second to speak to just how important partnerships are. I think everything that I have seen President Crow make possible here is with a degree of humility that we ourselves cannot do this on our own. And maybe, Michael, you just want to speak to.
I'll just say this. So Tammy, in your comments a little while ago, you said, one of your objectives is networks that move the world forward. And so that's your purpose. And so if you're not working with partners advancing in these things and you're listening to us, you're going to fail. The only way you can succeed in the complexities of the modern technologically enhanced, ubiquitously connected world is in partnerships. There's no other way. And that's one of the hallmarks of what we've been doing at ASU is partner, partner, partner in every possible way. And it's increased our rate of pedagogical evolution by several factors. And so we're very excited about all of that and very happy to partner with those that are here with us today and looking forward to more partnerships going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Can I just add one quick comment, Lev? I know you're trying to close here, but when I think about partners that we choose to do business with, it's partners that not only are looking to do good for their institution, but looking to do good for the world. And we didn't have enough time to talk about that today, but in our commitment to not only providing core connectivity for customers, employees, and shareholders, but it's society at large. And if we don't innovate as partners, public-private partners, to enable society to move forward, we have failed. And so on behalf of just Verizon, thank you for your commitment to making the world a better place, not just making it a better place at ASU.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Michael. Please join me in thanking our plenary kickoff.